Hello and welcome to the Truth About Fat video. Definitely one of the most confusing and challenging areas of nutrition is understanding fat. There have been so many different ideas about this that people just are utterly confused. You've got your parents that were on completely non-fat diets. You now have the keto diets that are like completely all-fat diets. You've got the concerns about heart disease. Is fat making you fat? Is it healthy for your cells? What is the truth? So today we're going to take a brief look, hopefully simplify this as much as we possibly can, and help you to have a better understanding of what to be aware of and where to go with your fats. So how did this all begin? Why did this get so confusing? It's going to be massively simplified, but at least will help you wrap your head around this. So it was really kind of a perfect storm type of scenario. There was this guy, Ansel Keys, that did a study that was a little skewed, kind of confusing, and it really just came at the right time and took hold perfectly where it associated fat and heart disease. But it really was during a time that our food was starting to become adulterated anyways. All of these ads coming out about sugar being awesome for you, that, what's better, a grapefruit or Domino sugar? And there was this really big push during this time that sugar was good for you. And what they were replacing fat with was sugar. Sugar is actually much more inexpensive to produce, and so it was a big shift in the food industry to be able to make more money. A lot of this was during the Depression, and coming out of that, there was just a lot of semi-unethical and definitely unbacked health changes that were taking place. So not a great time to trust the health authorities during these shifts as they're taking place. One of my favorite ads, I wasn't able to find it, is one that actually was a Thanksgiving cigarette ad to smoke a Camel cigarette in between each course for better digestion. So what is the truth? To really understand fat, we're going to go on a short chemistry lesson here and talk about what actually creates fat. Many of you have probably heard saturated fat, monosaturated fat, and polyunsaturated fat, and maybe don't really even understand what that was. I know I didn't for a very long time. So how fat breaks down is you have your carbon atoms, your hydrogen atoms, and then your oxygen. And in a saturated fat, all of your carbon atoms are saturated with hydrogen. So there are no breaks. Really, a saturated fat is going to be typically your healthier fat in many ways, because it doesn't have any breaking points where it can break down. Your monounsaturated fats are going to have a double bond that's created, but it only has one. So there's only going to be one breaking point that happens there. So instead of having all of your carbon atoms saturated, you have this double bond that occurs, and it's only one time, so it's a monounsaturated fat. And then with polyunsaturated fats, you're going to have multiple, 2 or more of those double bonds. And the concern with these oils is that the more double bonds you create, the more possibilities of a breaking point you have. And it's really a concern around how it's processed and heated, because when you heat and process these double bonded type fats, they can start to become toxic and break down and become unhealthy in the body. So simply put, a saturated fat is going to have single bonds between carbons. So it's going to be mainly solid at room temperature. These are going to make up like your animal fats, so fats you find in meat when you're cooking, your beefs and your porks, those type of fats. Cheese, your butter, lard, ghee, tallow, any of those type of things, your cream, as well as eggs, and your coconut. There is one major caveat with saturated fats and them being considered healthy, and that is going to be that they are grass-fed and organic. Now, when you look at a lot of the controversy that goes on around animal proteins and animal fats and butter and eggs and cream and all of those things, really it comes down to the quality of those products, not the products themselves. And so this is an area that it is pretty critical when you're gearing towards a healthier route, that in this particular area you want it to be as clean as possible, because the fat is typically where a lot of the nutrients are going to be stored, but also where a lot of the toxins are going to be stored. And so if you have a product that is not grass-fed or that is just conventionally processed, you're going to have way higher amounts of inflammation occurring in the body, way higher toxic burden, and so there is going to be a huge difference between a saturated fat that is conventionally processed versus a saturated fat that is grass-fed, clean, organic. That is one of the big components of those particular fats. Next, we go over to our unsaturated fats, where these again are going to be one or more double bonds between carbon. So you've got some of your mono unsaturated, like olive oil. We're going to have our palm, our nut and seed oils, avocado themselves, as well as oils, flaxseed oil, sesame seed oil. And the big concern again with these oils is how they're being utilized from a processing standpoint and how you're using them to prepare your foods. Because some of these oils are not going to be ideal for heating, but could be excellent in, say, a salad dressing or something that you're eating in essentially their raw form. So really what you're looking at here is that they're the best quality and how they're processed. You don't want them chemically extracted, which it'll say a lot of times on the ingredient list. It's going to be ideal if you see labels that say something like cold pressed or raw or unrefined, things like that, where they've been processed as minimally as possible. So when we look at our guidelines for cooking with fat, it's going to be a good resource for you. Your highest heat oils are going to be avocado oil, coconut oil, grapeseed oil, peanut oil, and sesame oil. So these are going to be the oils you'd want to go to if you're frying or heating above 400 degrees. Your medium heat oils, anywhere from about 350 to 400 degrees, are going to be your almond oil, your butters or ghees, olive oil, peanut oil, walnut oil. Those are the ones that are going to be safe to use in that range, as well as any of your high heat oils. And then when we look at the raw to low heat, it's going to be anything under 350 degrees, and these are going to be your most unrefined oils, the ones that you want to be careful with. You don't really want to heat much. They're going to be better in a cooler form. That's going to be hemp oil, fish oil, flaxseed oil, olive oil, sesame oil, but really any of those nut and seed oils are going to be in this category, unless they've been referenced as an oil that can withstand higher heat. Having a little better idea of what things we want to look for, the main areas you want to really be cautious are going to be your fish oil. Fish oil is an excellent source of omega-3s, can be very beneficial, super anti-inflammatory, but there is a big difference between quality. And so you want to be careful with your fish oil that you're making sure you're getting a solid quality if you're going to take fish oil. This isn't one of those things that I would be Costco recommended. I love Costco for a lot of things. Fish oil is not one of them. So if you're concerned about what type of fish oil you're taking, definitely feel free to reach out to me, but want to be cautious about the type of fish oil you take in. The other two oils you want to be a little bit cautious of are safflower oil and sunflower oil. These are going to have a little bit lower heat point. A lot of times these can be poorly processed and used in a lot of processed foods. If it's like a pure organic product and specifically says that it's organic safflower or sunflower oil, then it might not be so bad, but definitely one that kind of sits the fence and you want to be a little more leery of. But when we go to oils that you straight up want to try to avoid, we're looking at soy oil, corn, vegetable oil, cottonseed oil, and our canola oil. These are definite ones you want to try to avoid if at all possible, or the GMO monster is going to eat you. And so that really is a big reason with these ones is it's very, very challenging to find a clean oil of any of these at this point. They have been so processed and so chemically altered at this point that they really are just not healthy oils to bring into the body. So there you have it. Hopefully that brings about a little clearer understanding of what you're looking for, what you want to gear towards, and what you want to avoid. And next time you have the opportunity to have a piece of bacon, go for it. But remember, no nitrates, no nitrites, and ideally grass-fed or as clean as possible. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.